Welcome to the 76 Capital Leadership Series. My name is Wayne Kimmel, and I'm your host and managing partner of 76 Capital. On this show, I interview top sports entrepreneurs, athletes, and executives who are truly shaping and many times changing the sports industry. And that's what we're going to be talking about today on this show. I want to give a quick shout out to Ty back at the station, who's making it all happen, pressing all the right buttons. Ty, thanks for all the great work that you're doing. You could follow me on Twitter at Wayne Kimmel and across all the social media networks as well. And please subscribe to our 76 Capital podcast on whatever network you subscribe to and you listen to, as well as watch our show on YouTube. So, of course, if you're an entrepreneur and you're building a company in the sports industry or trying to do the next thing in the sports betting, the esports, the sports media, or sports tech industry, reach out to us at 76 Capital. We want to get to know you. There may be ways that we can help each other building the next big thing within the sports industry. Now let's get to it. We have a great guest today. We have Sankar Jayaram, the CEO of Quintar, the augmented reality company that's doing incredible things within the sports industry. You know, Jay is also the former CTO of Intel Sports. He's a true pioneer in the augmented reality and virtual reality world. We're going to talk all about that. He was also named a top innovator by the Sports Business Journal during his career. So we have great things to talk about on our show today. Jay, we're so excited to have you, and welcome to our 76 Capital Leadership Series.
Thanks, Wayne. This is an honor. I've been following your leadership series for a while, and when you asked me to be on it, I was like, yes, of course. No question about it.
Well, we're excited to have you on it. We're also excited the fact that, you know, our team here and our family at 76 Capital made an investment into your company, Quintar. So we're excited about all the things that you and Jeff and the rest of your team are doing. So this is really going to be a fun show.
I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. You know, You've known me for a little bit, and you can dig deeper in today.
Well, we're going to do that. And as you know, on our 76 Capital Leadership Series, because you're a great viewer and listener of it, we go deeper. We absolutely do. And I want to learn more about you. I want to learn about sort of where you grew up, how you became one of the true pioneers in the world of augmented reality and virtual reality. And quite frankly, to get into what is the difference about what are the difference of AR and VR and how that all works. Before we get into that, let's get into your background. Jay, share with our audience, some of your background, where you grew up and how you got into this world.
So, I grew up in India. I grew up in a place called Calcutta. At that time, now it's called Kolkata, one of the most populous cities in the world. And I went to school there, and then I went to college, engineering college at IIT Kharagpur, which is at that time was one of the top 5 universities in India for engineering. A lot of folks know the IITs of India. And post IIT, I did my graduate work at Virginia Tech. I got my master's and PhD, both in mechanical engineering. Although by the time I was doing my PhD, I was half mechanical engineer, half software, because I was working on computer-aided design. And that's where I got some of the ideas of what might be in the future for virtual reality, and we can talk about that in a bit. And then I moved to Washington State. My wife, I taught at Virginia Tech for 4 years while my wife was finishing her PhD. And then we moved to Washington State University, where I was a professor for almost 25 years. And I started my virtual reality work there way back in 93, 94 timeframe. And I stuck with it. I knew sooner or later, that was going to become a big thing. And here we are. That's kind of a short run-up of my, my 60 years of life in a nutshell. And of course, the last part of that at Washington State University was a company that I started, multiple companies. I'd say this is my fourth company that I'm running here, and it's been a great journey so far.
Well, Jay, you mentioned your wife, the sort of the rock star in your marriage, as you've shared with me a number of times. Tell me a little about Uma, and where you met, how you were able to, work together and do some pretty incredible things so far.
Uma and I met in college. I was, 2 years out from graduating when she came into IIT Kharagpur. interesting fact that she was the first woman to be admitted directly into the mechanical engineering program at that university ever. Mechanical engineering was not something that women really went for, and that too in the top university in the nation. And interestingly, how we met has nothing to do with academics. She's a singer and I'm a musician, and we met through music, and we were in the college band together. That's how we met. And then she got her PhD also at Virginia Tech. Then she was a professor at Washington State University as well. We started our virtual reality lab together. We started our company together, and she ran the company. She was essentially head of operations for the company. And she took care of all the business side in terms of the internal management and everything else, while I was running around drumming up business and coming up with crazy ideas. And then she worked at Intel Sports. She was general manager for our engineering team, led the Vogue VR engineering team, and then the True VR engineering team at Intel, delivered on Olympics and a whole bunch of other things within 12 months. She grew her team at Intel from 10 people to about 75 in about 7 months, and delivered on Olympics. Now she's a general manager at Electronic Arts.
Fascinating. That's amazing. That's really incredible. Jay, one of the things that, obviously you've done some incredible things from a technology perspective, but they all seem to be within the sports world, for the most sports and sort of entertainment world, for the most part. How did you, how did you decide to sort of get into the world of sports? And was there something were you a sports fan? I know that there's a certain sport that you're pretty good at. Love to hear about that as well.
Sure. Yeah. I was always into sports. And I was never very good at sports, but I was always playing sports. I played when I was a kid and in school. Well, I'm still a kid. When I was in school, it was more of I was in my school team in table tennis, and I was pretty good at it. And I played a lot of field hockey, and I was coached by one of India's Olympian captains who won the gold medal for India in field hockey. So that was actually a turning point in my sports career, learning about fitness and what it really means. Where you do fitness for about 3 hours, when you're completely wiped out is when you start playing the sport for a half hour and you're dead. When you crawl back home situation. And of course, I played a lot of cricket. Growing up in India, that's a sport I continue to play today. I play in the league out here, and if you take the average team age, I'm about 2.5 times their age, and I'm out there competing with the kids. So that's my background in sport. And in terms of how I got into sport and technology, it's kind of interesting. As you go through life, there are doors that present themselves, and you go through them based on intuition or based on whatever be the reason. The whole concept of virtual reality was by accident. I was in computer-aided design, and I finished my PhD. I taught for 4 years. My wife finished her PhD. We were both looking for jobs, and I was thinking of going to industry primarily and not stay in academia. And we had both job offers from 3 different groups. They said, "Hey, we want both of you. You guys decide who wants to work with which group, and come over." And that's when I got an opportunity to come to Washington State. I got a job offer from Washington State to be a professor. I thought about it, and then I called back the guy who would have been my manager at Ford, saying, "Hey, I decided not to come to Ford. Thanks for the offer." They said, "Hey, take your time. We'll keep this position open for 6 months." I said, "No, I made my mind, and I'm going to go to Washington State University and be a professor." They said, "Oh, you're going to Washington State University? Are you going to be working in virtual reality?" I said, No. There's a virtual reality lab in University of Washington. I'm going to Washington State University." I hung up the phone and I stared out the window. I was like, virtual reality. There are lots of applications of virtual reality in mechanical engineering that people haven't been thinking about. Maybe that's what I should do. I called Scott, who was my student at Virginia Tech, and he was going to move with me to Washington State. I said, "Scott, what do you think of doing a PhD in virtual reality?" He said, "Virtual reality? What do you know about that?" I said, "I know that there's something in there. We'll go figure it out." He said, "Okay." And so, I got into virtual reality because somebody mistook me for going to a different university. And that sent me down the path of virtual reality. So, as things happen, you take these turns in life and pivots. And, we started a company called 3D for You. My partner, Jeff, loves the name. When you talk to him, you'll find out. He hates it. He wouldn't join the company until I changed the name of the company. we had this company, and we were looking at using VR for letting people walk around in museums and other places, but using real images and real videos, not computer generated. So Peloton on steroids, where we would go and film the Smithsonian, and you get on your treadmill, put on a VR headset, and you're walking around in the Smithsonian, or get on your bicycle and you're going on the Tour de France in the Alps. And as we were going through this and started putting the business plan and what it would take to make that available on the PlayStations and the Xboxes and everything else, that's a pretty tough business model to get into, to film places and provide that. And being a football fan and a Seahawks fan, I was in Pullman, Washington. I was coming out of the grocery store with bags in my hand. I got a call from my business partner in Virginia, and they said, "Hey, we can talk later. I'm missing my Seahawks game. I need to go home and watch the game. We'll talk later." I said, "Man, I wish we could just put on our headset and I could be in the Seahawks stadium. Wouldn't that be so cool?" And I was right outside my car. I just froze. I said, "That's it. That's what we're going to do." He said, "What?" I said, "We're going to pivot and we're going to do live sports in VR." I said, "Live sports? I mean, it took us a month to do a demo of a 3-minute video in VR." I said, "That's just technology. That can be figured out. Let's go do that." And that's what pivoted me into the whole live sports in VR, and then you move on to AR from there.
Well, Jay, I've heard you say it's just technology a number of times, and I love when you say that, but I think for most of us, it's just technology. That's a pretty tough thing to figure it out. But you always say it's you could figure it out. I think one of the things is, think about from the beginning of when you started working in virtual reality to where we are today with virtual reality. We'll get into some of the things that we've recently heard about, what Facebook's talking about right now, and how teams and leagues are using all of this. But at the same time, what is the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality? What are the differences between them?
Fundamentally, at the very base level, there is no difference. Okay, it's all about the label you put on it. Okay. End of the day, you're trying to immerse people in something that is not real, and in some ways mixing it with what is real. If you put on a virtual reality headset, and I can show you, behind me, you can see a whole bunch of headsets. The first headset, out on the other side, the gray one is a humongous one I had to build to start virtual reality in 93, 94 at Washington State University. And the other one, over my other shoulder, that one is an AR headset that I used in late 90s. Okay, and if you look at that today and look at some of the AR headsets, you'll say, wow, some companies were really advanced at that time.
It was almost like virtual reality was almost like a helmet, right? When it first started, right? I mean, it was such a big thing.
Here's the headset that I used to start virtual reality.
So wait, it's almost like a mask in a way, right? It's gigantic. It's like you're welding or something with that thing on your head.
It is a welder's helmet inside.
That's amazing.
It's a welder's helmet that I had to put together with displays and stuff to make that happen. So, when you think about virtual reality and augmented reality, essentially you're providing some information in a visual or through audio, and a combination, maybe tactile even, that comes from a computer-generated set of information. And in virtual reality, the way people understand it, you're completely covered. You don't see the real world in front of you, and you're inside this fully simulated environment. But hey, you're standing in the real world. If you walk around, you're walking around in the real world. So you really have not disconnected from reality completely, but you have provided enough of an environment that makes you feel that you're somewhere else. In augmented reality, the way people look at it is you are actually seeing the real world in front of you, and you're adding things to the real world. And then you have the mixed reality, extended reality, all of those, where how you're seeing the real world can be through see-through glasses, like what most people do. It could be through cameras in the headset that are streaming in the video from inside, but like some other headsets do. There's so many different combinations. Essentially, you're providing a visual experience of additional information than what you have in front of you in the real world. You block out the real world, people call it virtual reality. You keep the real world in front of you, people call it augmented reality. For me, just one technology after the other, give it different names and different marketing material and go.
That's awesome. That's a great description. We're so excited to have you on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. We have Jay, the CEO of Quintar, was as our guest on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. And Jay, that is a very, very simple and easy explanation of the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality. And one of the things that I know that we're working on with you right now and helping with you, as you build your company, Quintar, you're bringing this augmented reality world to the sports industry and making it, so that there's even more opportunity to have an incredible experience when you watch sports. Talk a little bit about, your thoughts around where things will go within the augmented reality world and some of the things that you're building now at Quintar as well.
Absolutely. So when you think of virtual reality and what we did with virtual reality and what we did at Intel with virtual reality, we were looking at live sports coming into the VR headsets where you can put on the headset and you can, be courtside at an NBA game and be able to watch the players and be amazed at how tall these players really are when you're standing right next to them. So when you go through that whole process, you understand that, wow, this is an amazing experience that people would love to have. Well, yes and no, because watching sports is a social experience. And it's okay to have some avatars and so on of your friends coming in, but then it's not the same. I mean, you cannot turn around and see the person sitting next to you who happens to be virtual, but you're seeing that person the way you're supposed to see. Or you can be at home and you're watching with your friends, but everything is blocked off from those people. So it's kind of an isolating experience when you think of VR. Now, when you move to augmented reality, we have been using augmented reality, for a while. Like it or not, on the phone, you can pull up different kinds of information that you can see. Google has all kinds of different capabilities of being able to point at things and see what building is out there. There's so many different experiences of augmented reality, even with the phone. Now you bring in the headsets where you put on the headset. Now the headset is not isolating because now you're seeing everything in front of you. You sit in your living room and you see your friends next to you. But then you start seeing information or content or sports or whatever in front of you. That's where things start separating out from VR-based sports experiences to AR-based sports experiences. Now, when you think of the easiest way to explain what we are doing at Quintar is when people started streaming or looked at streaming media, everybody got excited. Oh, wow, we can send video over the internet and people can watch it on their laptops, they can watch it on their phone, they can watch it on their smart TVs and everything else. Great, everybody wanted to go to OTT. But going to OTT is not just about, hey, I can stream my video and put it up there. Well, when people started doing it, they realized that, okay, when I send it up to the cloud, I need to have certain compression. And what does a cloud even mean for OTT? Cloud didn't exist the way it exists today, when OTT started 10 years ago. Then you send it up to some computer, and then you need to distribute it. What happens to people in China or India if you're streaming from the US? What happens to latency? What happens to people who don't have the same bandwidth? What happens to people who don't have the same resolution? When you put all those pieces together, if you want to stream a content of sports event or something similar live, around the world, there's a whole lot of things that need to happen on the technology side to enable that. Not just, hey, I can put a camera, I can start streaming to the world. So that's when the Akamai's and the Level 3s and those kinds of companies came in and said, hey, you give me your stream and you create your app on the other side, and we'll take care of everything in the middle for you. Now, when you think of augmented reality and sports, there are 5 different things that need to come together. The first thing is the 3-dimensional space. So you have your own 3D space. So I'm sitting here and I have the 3-dimensional space around me that I'm interacting with. And then when I pull up my phone or I put on a headset, this defines its own space around it, right? So the phone itself knows where, has a camera, the camera sees something, so that it has its own space. And then when you think of, if you're at an event, there's a 3D space of the venue that you're dealing with. Then there's a 3D space of all the data that are getting player tracking and ball tracking. There's so many different 3D spaces that need to come together to enable augmented reality experiences. That's a 3D side. Then there's a time element. There's time synchronization. Different pieces of data come at different times. You're at home and you're watching TV and you're getting AR media streaming. All those are at different times and different times. And so there's a time element of synchronizing all the information to provide augmented experiences. And then finally is the data piece itself. All the data that you get are all from different sources, have different have different uses, different use cases, and you put it all together. When you try to create a good augmented reality experience, you have to deal with all this. You cannot say, hey, I'm going to point my a selfie at myself, and when it recognizes my face and paints my team's logo on my cheek. How cool is that? Sure, you can do that. But then if you want like meaningful experiences where you're in the venue and you pull up your phone and see the first and 10 yellow line, which I miss every time I go to the stadium to see a football game, I want to see that yellow line. Yeah, it's on TV, but I mean, at the game, why can't I not see the yellow line? Can somebody project a yellow line? Yes, we can. Now with augmented reality, you can do that. I'm out or at a basketball game. I want to see where all the 3-pointers have happened from today. And when I see my player getting close to that, I get excited. Getting into the zone, here's another 3-pointer coming, right? So when you want to get that kind of experience, you have to deal with the 3D space, you have to deal with the time space, you have to deal with the data space, and you have to bring all that together. What we're building at Quintar is that platform, so that when people suddenly realize, oh my God, there are all these AR headsets out there are all these AR-enabled phones out there, and there are all these fans who want these extended augmented experiences. That's great. We are going to start doing it. And then they're going to get into that same situation. Like, oh my God, but there's so much to be done. That's where Quintar comes in. Give us the data, give us the media, and create your apps. We take off everything in between for you. That's a Quintar platform.
Well, Jay, that's exactly, and it's exactly what my partner Chad shared with me when he was out with you and your team out in Silicon Valley, going through, and Chad sits on the board of Quintar with you, and he was telling me, he's like, it was unbelievable, the amount of information, the amount of data, the amount of tech that goes into this. It was mind blowing. But you just broke it down into 5 steps, and I got it. It's easy. I'll come and help you. No problem. No, I'm kidding.
Perfect. Every time I say, it's really simple technology, my partner Jeff gets really upset. He's like, the technology is so complex. I said, yes, but for a user, it needs to be very simple. You pull up your phone and AR should work. That's it. You put on your headset and AR should work. It needs to be very simple from a user perspective. Yeah, behind that, there's a 800-pound gorilla sitting in the cloud providing the data you need for that experience, and the Quintar platform is managing that gorilla of data set and all the spaces. But yeah, from a user's perspective, it better be really low barrier to entry.
Well, let's talk about your partner Jeff and his involvement in the company. Tell us a little bit about Jeff Jonas and how the two of you met and what you guys are doing together now.
Yeah, so Jeff spent a long stretch of time at SportVision. He was head of SportVision business development, and he's the one who brought the first and 10 line business to the sports world, the K Zone, and so many augmented reality experiences on TV. We didn't call it augmented reality at that time. When you look back and you see all that data overlay, that is augmented reality on TV screens. It's a broadcast augmented reality. So he's the one who's done that for such a long time. And then when VR was gaining traction in Silicon Valley, and we moved our company, from Pullman, Washington to Silicon Valley, we were looking to find the right partner who knows the sports business to take us forward. And he was trying to get SportVision to come and do VR and partner with us. And SportVision wanted to continue down the path that they wanted to go. So he decided to leave SportVision, join us directly, and get into the space. So he joined us, and that's about the time, a little late, about a year after that, we got funded, and then 6 months after that, we got acquired by Intel, and then we were part of Intel Sports. I was the CTO, and I was leading the product definition as well, and Jeff was heading the business development side of it. And that's where Jeff helped us cut the deals with the NCAA March Madness and PGA Tour and NFL and MLB and NBA and everybody for VR live streaming. And we did that, and we were at Intel for 3 years. And we had our golden handcuffs through the acquisition. And towards the end of that, when it was time to move on, we started talking about, hey, what's next? And I moved out first and had some meetings on the AR space. We knew that the AR was going to be big, and decided that's where we are going to go. And Jeff left Intel as well, and we started Quintar together.
That's awesome. I mean, and Jeff's, it's almost as kind of like the two of you come at the world in different ways. As you were saying, you'll handle that the big technology gorilla, and Jeff's the one who goes out there and does the deals. Did I get that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting how we do that 1-2 punch of, okay, he's business, I'm technology. I've run technology company and been CEO for a long time, and he understands technology much deeper than people give him credit for. So we can fill in for each other. But absolutely, the experience that he has 25 years of in the sports business and me 25 years in the AR VR, that they just fit hand in glove. It's a perfect combination of founders here.
Well, it's really exciting to have Jay, the CEO of Quintar, on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. Jay, I mean, you only need to go by one name, and certainly Jeff the same way within the sports industry. When you talk about Jay and Jeff Jonas, I mean, my God, you guys, everyone knows you. Everyone knows you within the industry. That's amazing. It's so exciting to see what you're doing now at Quintar.
Thank you.
Jay, we were together in Las Vegas a few months ago, and we went over to the new Circa Casino, and we saw their incredible new sports book that they have with these giant screens and amazing setup that they have there. But when I think about that, and I think about what you're doing from an augmented reality perspective, how could you take that experience, which is second to none today, but take that kind of experience to the next level for people that come in there and other really incredible, whether it's arenas or stadiums or even having that experience at home? What will it be like for people in the future?
First of all, thanks for that trip and for arranging all those visits, because that was an eye opener for me. I'd not seen the sport books from that perspective or that close. I've always walked past it and seen people, going crazy. But to walk around with you and understand what's going on and visit with the other company that you have had successful exits with, that was really, really useful for me. The easiest way to explain that is when you go into that space, it's a one experience fits all right there. You sit there and you have the big screen or the gigantic screen outside that we saw as well, with the swimming pools. Whichever way you look at it, it's a one experience that fits all. Yeah, everybody's sitting there, everybody's seeing the same set of screens and the same data and everything else. Turn on augmented reality and start personalizing the whole experience. That's the easiest way to think about it. If you have an AR headset and you're sitting there and there's a big screen and there are small screens, there are different things you can do to customize. Maybe the small screens you are seeing is different from what your buddy is saying. Maybe I want to follow a certain other team that's also playing at the same time. And if they don't show it on that big screen at that time, then I'm missing out on it. No, I can say that screen is going to be mine. And this is what I'm seeing. And my buddy could be seeing a different team playing on that same screen. And the main screen could be the one that we are all, watching and we are all betting on. And I can be getting my statistics, my data, my fantasy team information, everything, layered on top of the TV or floating in front of me. And my friend could have his or her experience, and data in front of them. So you can take that same experience and you can then customize it for each person. You can have their own experience while maintaining that social atmosphere. That social atmosphere is enormous. Otherwise I could be sitting at home, put on a VR headset and do that. No, it's not the same. You need to be there. You need to have that energy of that place. But at the same time, I can personalize that experience for what I want to do. And that is what AR brings immediately to what I saw out there.
But Jay, one of the things that's interesting, I mean, so you talk about an AR headset, right? But an AR headset in the next year or two may just be a pair of sunglasses, right?
Yes. When you think about it, what I built was 30 years ago, right? So you look at what some of the big companies are announcing and what you can expect them to come out with. Of course, Facebook bought Oculus and that set this whole VR trend, right? I was in Pullman and I was doing virtual reality and nobody knew anything about what was going on. And suddenly Facebook says we are buying Oculus for 2.x billion. And suddenly the whole world is, okay, VR is everything. And we are sitting in small town Pullman saying, okay, this is our time. And that's when Uma said, okay, we need to move to Silicon Valley. Let's reach out and move, right? So those shifts happen.
It's pretty smart.
Yes, yeah, of
Good
course.
move.
She's the one who reached out to our friends here and our mentors here and to Intel. She made all those dots connect, right? And I just come along and execute on the technology behind it now. It's a teamwork. No matter what you do, unless you have a good team, you can never get there. So when you think of the big tech companies, when they are the ones who are going to make those shifts, it's the Apples and the Facebooks and the Googles and the Microsofts and anybody else that I'm leaving out of this mix. When they decide that they want to do something, they have the user base, they have the deep pockets that it takes to be in the technology for a long enough time. It didn't matter that VR for live events did not take off as fast as people thought it would in the last several years. It doesn't matter. Has Facebook stopped investing in VR? AR? Heck no. They're going to continue to do that because they have the wherewithal to go the full distance. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're not going to get VR happen in 2 years where it goes from nobody's talking in the world about VR to, oh my God, everybody's doing VR. You go through that spike, then you come down, and then you slowly build up the real products, and the real market comes behind that, right? So VR is in that phase of the wave that's going to come, and that's going to be accelerated by AR. Now you start bringing in the augmented reality. When you think of the headsets, there are all kinds of leaked information about the headsets that, say, Apple is building or Google is building or Facebook is building. Everybody has their own versions. But yeah, I've seen some of the presentations by those companies themselves where they talked about, yes, are we doing augmented reality? Yes, we are. You look at the mobile phones, AR kit on the iPhone side, and on the Android side, you have all kinds of AR libraries. So the library is already there. The devices are there. They are building in LiDAR and other information into the phones. It's just going to the next generation. Then you have, of course, the companies like Magic Leap and Nreal and so many other headsets coming out. I have that red headset on the back there is a Nreal headset. It's pretty small headset, works great. It's very popular in Korea right now. We're waiting for it to come in the US. There are other companies that have announced headsets. So all these headsets are coming out, and some of those they look like sunglasses. They look like shades that you wear on a daily basis. And once you get to that point, you wear sunglasses when you go to a football stadium and it's sunny. Yeah, I'm going to wear those sunglasses. But hey, that can also show me the 1st and 10 yellow line. I'm in.
And it can also show you, what the line is at the game, or different types of prop bets.
Exactly.
And I personally, and I want to get your feelings on this. I personally believe that the sports betting side, or that data now, and the legalization of sports betting now and happening, we have over 30 states now in the United States that have legalized sports betting. That data, that information, that opportunity to engage the fan, I believe, is one of those things that's really also going to bring the augmented reality part of the world with it, because it allows you it gives you something truly actionable to do. And it's not just kind of fun, let's just see what's going on out there, but there's something actually to do. And I love some of the things that you're doing in that world.
Absolutely. When you think of tabletop experiences, I'm sure a lot of people have seen, at least in the sports industry, have seen the Magic Leap demonstrations before they decide to pivot away from sports for the time being, of having a live game going on a tabletop where you can see the basketball court on your tabletop, on your coffee table, or a football game on your coffee table. Now you take that to the next step. So I'm sitting, I'm watching TV. TV is still there, and the storytelling on TV is still unparalleled. It's been honed over the last 75 years, although it hasn't, it has evolved from the same concept over the last 70 plus years. But then, it's really good storytelling. So I'm going to watch TV. And then I have the whole tabletop experience where it's not, what we are doing at Quintar is enabling a tabletop live video stream experience. It is not stick figures. It is not computer graphics generated, but we are taking augmented reality video and streaming it to your tabletop. And it looks like the players are running around on your coffee table. Now I'm sitting there and I have my friends sitting around me and we are watching, and we want to bet against each other. I'm going to just point my finger at my coffee table and say, the next one is going to be pass play and it's going to be here. And my friend saying, nope, it's going to be run and it's going to be in this direction. It's going to be here. And I'm seeing betting rings out there and betting rings out there. And those things are being added. And now expand this from my immediate friend circle to a larger friend circle. We don't have to be in the same home, but we can all be watching the same augmented experience. And then you start expanding that to the people in the venue. And now you start seeing how augmentation of the media experience with the data experience and making it interactive with the user is going to make it really easy for the whole betting side to get into a mode where it's a game all the time. It's a game within a game, no matter what. Yes, the football is the game that we are watching, but we are all playing our own games within that football game.
Well, 100%. I mean, I think right now, I mean, you look at the NFL contract, right? That the NFL is now, they're paying, the networks are paying over $110 billion to be able to broadcast the games. That's incredible. The broadcasters themselves now have to figure out how they're going to, use, as you said, the game, the way they show the game and broadcast the game. A lot hasn't changed over the years. That's a lot of money they're paying right now. They need to make sure that they're presenting a great product to the consumers, but at the same time, they have to make sure that they're presenting an amazing product for the advertisers that need to pay them, so they can then pay the league the money that they owe the league for this huge contract that they have. So they're all talking about personalization. They're all talking about, kind of what's next with their broadcasts. And it seems like what you're building now at Quintar is one of those things that could truly take their broadcast from the current state to a whole nother level.
Absolutely. The broadcast TV and the broadcast media is here, right? And all the leagues are making most of the money from that, and that's going to stay. But they need to reinvent themselves. When I look at the next generation, when I look at my kids and their friends and so on, they are more about snacking on data while the game is going on, and in fact snacking on the media while they're actually focused on the data. They're doing all this stuff on their fantasy teams and everything else. And oh yeah, by the way, they also watch TV as it goes on. When you want to start bringing all that together into the broadcast industry itself, can augmented reality support that? Yes. So if I'm watching TV, can I, through a pair of headsets or through my phone, when pointing it at the TV, I can start personalizing the data that I'm seeing on the TV screen? Can I put on my AR glasses when I'm watching TV and have new information on my TV set? The answer is yes. Can I get all of the different camera views right there and have my personalized information on all of those screens around my main TV that I'm also watching? Like, those are the kind of things that can happen when you start. Augmented reality, the good thing is it does not replace watching TV. It'll enhance watching TV. It's going to enhance the data you can provide to your fans on an individualized basis. Today, the data that I'm seeing is what the producer decides to give me even on the TV. With augmented reality, I can be watching TV and I can still have my own overlay of data that I'm watching on the TV screen itself. Those are the kind of things that are going to change.
Jay, as you know, one of the things that we always say at 76 Capital, whether it's Chad or me or the rest of the team, we always talk about, working with entrepreneurs who are smart, who are nice, who truly want to change the game and, make the impossible possible. And it seems like there's nothing impossible with what you're trying to do at Quintar today.
No, like I say, I truly believe in this. Technology is just there to be solved, right? How you build a business based on the technology is what requires some thought process. Technology is just about, okay, I need to go from point A to point B. How do I get there? And what are my barriers? How do I solve problems? It's an equation. You solve the equation and you're done. What is not in an equation is the business side of it. How do you make a business out of it? How do you make money? How do you make money for your investors out of it? How do you get the fans to consume that? That part of it is not an equation, but it's all based on experience and what paths you take to get there. So you have to have both of them together to make this possible. Just technology itself, yeah, I've done that. Where you build the technology and you build, okay, I've done the technology. What else is there? I should just make a ton of money on this technology. Heck no. That's so far from the truth. We recognized, very early in our careers, and that the business people, the marketing people, and the sales people, and how important all those functions are to a successful business. So what we are doing at Quintar, is it impossible? No. Is it going to take a lot of hard work? Yes. That's the one thing that we know for sure. When you do a startup, there's going to be a lot of hard work, and there's going to be it's going to be a roller coaster. Not everything is going to go your way, and it's about how you turn and pivot and make the best of the opportunities that are present in front of you, make the right decisions. And if you have a team that's willing to follow you, I cannot ask for a better team, Wayne. We are just incredibly lucky and blessed to have the kind of people we have on our team. Most of them, in fact, all of them, we have worked with in the past, and many of them said, "Hey, whenever you're starting next company, let me know." I'm in. I said, "Do you even know what I'm going to work on?" Doesn't matter. I'm in, right? So when you have people like that who will follow you and lead when they need to lead and follow when they need to follow, you can. Yeah, it is. Anything is possible. Nothing is impossible.
Well, I certainly love that. And being on our 76 Capital Leadership Series, I have to ask you, you talk about the team that you have, the group that you've worked with, some are leaders in their own right, but you as the CEO, what does it mean to be a leader to you? What is that, what are some of the things that you do as a leader that, has allowed you to have the kind of success that you've had so far in your career?
Yeah, that's really a tough question. I was sure you would come up with that question at some point in time. That what makes me the leader I am. I think end of the day there are a few things. Number one, you have to have empathy for everybody on your team. Number two, you have to have complete trust. And the one thing that I tell my team over and over again: do not be afraid to fail. When we were doing our 3D stuff way back in the days of 3D TV. We had the national stage. There was a 3D day when there were 3D broadcasts through ESPN of multiple games, and we were going to be a featured part at halftime at one of the college football games in a top 5 college team. And we had everything set to go, and just before the game started, our technology stopped working, and the halftime came, and our technology wasn't working, and the game ended, and our technology started working. And we missed that window where we were going to be on national TV, ESPN, and that was going to be our breakthrough moment in our company. Well, that failure happened. The whole team, not a single person pointed a finger at anybody as to why that failure happened. It was just like, okay, this is what happened. This is what we need to guard against. This is what we need to do. I keep telling my team, do not be afraid to fail. Fail fast. Be bold and fail fast, because when you're on the stage, when you're at a PGA Tour event or at an NFL event or an MLB event or an NBA event, that is not the time to fail, because you fail there, you're done. The sports industry is very unforgiving when it comes to live sports. So, but don't be afraid to fail in your efforts early on, and make sure that we are exploring all the things we need to explore. So I think if you can instill that confidence in the people, that they're not looking out over their shoulder to make sure that they are secure. They need to feel very secure. They need to be part of the team. It's a family. Unless you have that feeling of family, I'm not a leader. The team's leading me along the way. I'm just part of the team. And unless you get into that mindset, and you have to be who you are. Don't be somebody different in front of the team and somebody different when you're not in front of the team. That never works. I think those are the two most critical things.
That's super. And Jay, we've been talking about the future, what's next. Is there anything you can share with our audience, what will truly be next, or maybe what's going to happen in the near future with Quintar, and what you can share with us today?
I cannot tell you what's going to happen with Quintar, but I can tell you the vision. Is it going to be Ready Player One? Quite not there yet. Although, in some of my articles I wrote, book articles 15 years ago, I had scenarios that I described, which are happening today, through HoloLens and what they're doing with the manufacturing industry, are things that I wrote in book chapters about 15, 20 years ago. And I thought I could get there in 5 years. No, it's taken 15, 20 years for the technology to come. But, the way we envision the world and the data around us and how we interact with the world around us is changing. It changed with the mobile phones. You essentially have a computer in your pocket that has more power than the $1 million first computer that I bought for virtual reality when I was at Washington State University. right? So, what has that done? Essentially, it's not a phone you're carrying. You're carrying a device that's your connection to the world in every form, whether it's data, whether it's email, whether it's images or photos or voice, or everything is coming to the device. Now take that whole capability and bring it into the three-dimensional space around you. And you say, now if I have a device that's a headset I can put on, and now I have everything. I can look out and look in my backyard, and I can look at my rose tree, and it can tell me, hey, this one needs water. Okay. If you project that out to the future, there's no shortage of sensors and data and devices. There's a shortage of how you can present the information to the consumer in a form that the consumer can consume that data. And AR is a great medium that's going to change that. That's why people talk about AR as not a device. AR is kind of an operating system that's the next generation from mobile phones. What's next is augmented reality.
Well, it certainly sounds like Quintar is going to be in the middle of all of this, and
we already are, like it or not.
Well, I think it's amazing. And, you touched on a little bit of one of the last questions that I love to ask on our 76 Capital Leadership Series is really like, we think about, how do we make this world a better place? And it sounds like what you're doing by putting Quintar in the middle of it all, enabling, consumers and major companies and major brands and broadcasters and teams and leagues to have this incredible platform to enable them to have an even more immersive experience with whatever they want is where you sit. Did I get that right, Jay?
Absolutely. To make the world a better place, a happier place. People love sports. Sports in its own way brings the whole world together. I mean, we're right in the middle of Olympics right now. And I just read the article about the high jump where the winner who would have been the winner decided to share the gold medal because the other person got hurt with the last jump left, and they were completely tied. Sports brings the world together in many different ways. And when you are watching sports, it doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, where you grew up. I grew up in India, and I'm sitting there cheering football teams, that I've adopted as my home team, right? It doesn't matter but sports is a great way for the world to come together and enjoy and be happy together. And, if you're able to build more of that enjoyment through Quintar, I'm very happy with what we are doing.
Well, I know there's some big things coming down the pike. Chad shared a little bit with me, and certainly you and Jeff, and we really didn't even touch on Shiva and his involvement in the company. Just we have to do that before we wrap up here. I mean, tell me about your relationship with him and kind of how that all came together as well. I mean, I know that he's certainly an important part to your team.
Yeah, Shiva is a person that I've known since he was 17 years old, and we met on our first day in college, where we were, in the same dorm. We were in the same wing, and we stayed together through 5 years of college. And when we came to the United States for graduate school, we kind of communicated, and we flew together from India to the U.S. And we, landed together. Then he went his own way. He went to New Mexico. I went to Miami. Then I went to Virginia Tech. And after New Mexico, he joined Intel, and he stayed at Intel for 32 years. And at Intel, he was an engineer. Then he moved to management. Then he was a VP, and he was at Intel Capital, investing in companies. That's when my wife decided to reach out and say, "Hey, isn't Shiva at Intel? Maybe he should know about what we are doing." She reached out and invited us, and Intel Capital funded us and took us down that path. And he spent the last several years at Intel, helping build Intel Sports, and he was investing in the sports industry as part of Intel Capital. So he really spread his wings into the sports industry. So when Jeff and I started doing this, and Shiva had just left Intel as well, and he started his own Pragya Ventures, where he wants to help, startup companies get funded, get the right set of things together to be successful. A lot of people come with ideas, but they don't know what to do next. I get a lot of those too, and I channel them to Shiva saying, "Here, go talk to Shiva, and he can put you on the right track." And so when we were starting this, Jeff and I were talking about this, and of course Shiva was involved, and he said, "Okay, I'm in. I'll help you guys get to the right spot here." So it's great to have him on board.
Well, you have a heck of a team, you and Jeff and Shiva, and It's been great to get to know you guys. I'm so excited about what the future holds for Quintar, especially all the exciting things that will be coming out hopefully very soon. So we're excited about that, and really excited for to have you on the show. It's really been a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Wayne. And I cannot say enough about 76 Capital and working with you guys from our first phone call with Chad. And right then we knew that, hey, this is the right team that we want to be engaged with. And you guys taking the plunge, trusting us with some capital and your brand and your name behind it. That's huge for us. Thank you for your confidence in what we are doing and your trust in what we are doing. I'm sure we're going to enjoy this journey together, and you're already opening so many doors for us. It's incredible. It's a great partnership. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for all the hard work that you're doing right now. It's been great having you on the show. I can't wait to have you back, have Jeff, have Shiva, have the whole team on whenever you guys want. Let us know. It's amazing how fast the show goes by, how much fun we had. Love to hear all the stories that you shared with us. And that's what the 76 Capital Leadership Series is all about. So make sure that you keep an eye on what Jay and the rest of the team at Quintar are doing. You're going to hear a lot of exciting things coming up in the near future. Jay, once again, thanks for joining our show. And remember, if you're an athlete, you're an entrepreneur, you're a student, you're a business person, and you want to work in the sports industry, or you want to work in the sports world in some way, whether it's the sports betting industry, whether it's the esports industry or sports tech, or even in sports media, or maybe you know something about the world of VR and AR, you want to call Jay. So reach out to us at 76 Capital. We'd love to connect with you, try to connect and figure out ways that we can make this sports industry even more exciting and really build the next thing together. So once again, Jay, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Wayne.
You're welcome. And I'm Wayne Kimmel, and thanks for tuning into this edition of our 76 Capital Leadership Series. Now go out there and go make it happen. And I know that's exactly what Jay and his team are doing at Quintar. Have a great day, everybody.